Okay, so on this Zoom how-to video, we're going to look at what it looks like on your side when you share your screen with participants. So first of all, when you share your screen, you go down to share screen, it'll pop up this box and it gives you some options for different things that you can share. And one of the things I want to show before we show share screen is on advanced, you can also choose to share just the audio. So this would share maybe if you wanted to play music in the background while you're waiting for an event to start, but without actually having to share anything visual while you're sharing audio. But if you go back to the basic, you can see your different options and you can see that you can share your entire screen, or you can also just share a window. So for example, if I wanted to share this presentation window, I can just select this here and click share. And now what the participant should be seeing is my Google slideshow. And then from here, I can also present the slideshow, and then they should just be seeing the slideshow that I've presented. So one tip I will share though is, as you saw, I shared the entire browser for that slideshow, and you could see that I had other tabs on there. Sometimes when you're sharing, it can be helpful if you share just the single presentation tab that you have open. And what I do is I actually pull that tab away so that it's its own window. And so then when I go to share, I now have the option of just my presentation instead of the entire browser. And so again, you can see my presentation being shared here. And then when I present, it'll show the whole thing. One other note is that if you're going to share video or music, you want to make sure that Zoom is sharing your computer sound when you share that, because otherwise the video may be playing sound on your side, but the audience isn't hearing the sound that you're playing. So there's a couple of things you can do. One is when you go to share screen and you go to choose the video that you're going to share, down at the bottom, it should say share sounds. And so you can go ahead and click that box and it should do it right away. But if you forget to do that, you've already shared the video. When you see the options at the top of your screen here, all the options have shifted to the top instead of the bottom. If you click on more, there is an option to share sound. And so once I click that, and I hit play on here, the audience can hear the sound playing from my computer as well. So when you're sharing screen, it can be a little bit confusing to see some of the controls in Zoom, because right now, all I can see is the window that I've shared, and then I also see my participants in a video box here. But let's say one of my participants chats with me. Where did the chat go? Okay, so you can see now that the tools have popped down and the chat bubble has a little red 1 next to it. That tells me that there's a message in the chat. And so if I'm trying to figure out where the chat went, if I go back up to the top and click on chat, it will now open a window that shows me the chat box. Again, it can be a lot to show on your screen. And so oftentimes I'll open the chat, read what they say, and then close it. And that goes away for them as well. But while I was looking at the chat, the participants were still just seeing what I've shared on my screen and not seeing the chat window that I was looking at. Similarly, sometimes we ask participants if they have a question to use the raise hand feature, but while I'm here, I might not be able to see all the participants and that they're raising their hand. And so if someone has raised their hand, you can see that it popped up at the top here that Georgia has raised her hand. And if I want to look at that, again, I hover up here at the top, it drops down my tools. And if I click on participants, it now shows me my participants and that Georgia has her hand raised. And so that's something that you can monitor. I will often during an event play around with the configuration. Maybe I leave the participant window up so I can see who's coming in, if they have questions, that sort of thing. Or if later on I don't need it, I can just close that out as well. So those are just some tips for you in sharing your screen, what it looks like, and some of the ways you can optimize that experience.